Whoop, not too much. Give it a bit. See what we've got in there. Yeah, got a fair bit. Right, so that's the first 2 gallons pressed. While we've got a break, we'll run down the equipment. This is a cheap £60, I think it was 5 or 6 litre press off eBay. Made a few modifications to it because it was not performing well on the first press. So we modified it a little bit. First bit was to stick some plastic bags around the outside of it. Basically, when you started pressing, it started squirting out the sides here everywhere. So this keeps it down and so it goes down into the tray. Now, what it came with, you can see it came with the spider on the top, which you used obviously for the press. Just get that undone. Okay, so don't forget your plastic washer. So it came with that, which you have to assemble yourself. You have to assemble this yourself as well. It comes as basically 2 metal hoops, a bag of screws and a bag of staves, which is simple enough, you just screw it together. So these came with those 2 blocks. Now this is the modification I made. I made this piece up because basically the 2 pads it came with were rubbish. And as soon as you started pressing with them, they tilt or wobble about. So I've made this block up, piece of plywood, cut the right diameter, block of wood, screwed to the top, hole up through the middle so it goes over that. And that keeps everything nice and even. You get a nice even pressure as it presses down. It works a hell of a lot better with that. So that's that. I've taped a funnel on there just so it drips into the bucket, which it's missed a bit because the thing's dropped. So the bucket's a normal fermenting bucket, obviously sterilised. It will have a lid on the top with an airlock. What I will do before we start the fermentation process, I will dissolve 2 Camden tablets in some water, pop them in, just basically to kill any wild yeasts that are in there before we start the fermentation with some proper champagne yeast. It's what they recommend in the recipe that I'm following. It's just a normal wine yeast. I wouldn't use beer yeast because you won't get the strength from beer yeasts that you would from a wine yeast. You get a better alcohol content with wine yeast. So that's that. It's a Scratton bucket, very simple. Another 30 quid thing off eBay. Plastic bucket with a lid with a hole in it and a stainless steel chopper, which I've attached to my battery SDS drill, and it works beautifully. See there, that'll need washing out now we've finished. Yeah, that's basically the setup. So we'll now get the Camden tablets in there, get it stirred up, get a lid on it and an airlock in, and wait 24 hours before we put the cider yeast in. Sorry, champagne yeast, I mean. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Right, it's been 24 hours. So the Camden tablets, they've had the chance to kill the wild yeasts that were in there. I've now added the winemaking yeast. I used 2 sachets because you've got 10 litres there. Each sachet is only sufficient for 5 litres, so obviously 5 and 5 is 10, so 2 sachets. I did give it a bit of a kickstart. Got a jug of warm water, a couple of teaspoons of sugar in it, stirred it up, then added the yeast, waited 10 minutes till it started frothing. As proven that the yeast was working, and then obviously sloshed it in. So it's all in there now. It'll start to ferment. and we'll get the lid on, keep any nasty bacteria out. I don't know how airtight this lid is, but we've got the bubbler in the top. I've got to leave that now for a week or more, and come back to it when it's finished fermenting. So there you go. Right, here's some I did earlier. Now this stuff on the left here, we've got 2 gallons of pear cider, or Perry, I think is the correct term for it. This, I made the mistake of not filtering it, and as you can see, it's got a lot of crud in the top of the demijohn there, and put a lot of sediment in the bottom as well. So that's been fermenting about 2 weeks now. As you can see, it's still bubbling away. Hard to tell. It's still producing gas, because like you can see, there's definitely pressure in there. There we go, yeah, it's bubbling. So yeah, I'll leave that a bit longer. I've got some bottles on order, so once they've arrived, we'll sterilise them and we'll get bottling that up. This on the right here in the brown demijohn, this is wine, pressed from my own grapes in my back garden. We've got a vine out the back there with a variety called Boskoop Glory. Supposedly is a winemaking grape, so this is my first crack at it. It is still fermenting. Yeah, it is still fermenting, because yeah, it's bubbling. Sure it is. Definitely. So again, now I might try and make a sparkling wine out of this if I can. I'll get some green glass sort of champagne bottles, and we'll have a crack, see if we can get a sparkling wine out of that. We might try with the Perry as well, see if we can get a sparkling Perry. So yeah, watch this space and see what happens. That's it for the moment. Obviously I will update you as and when the bottles arrive and we start bottling stuff up, but that's it so far. So yeah, keep watching if you want to see more. Okay, bye now.